Hi guys, let's see what we got going on here. Here's some of the little things I painted, and I make them sparkle more as I scratch them, and then I seal them, and then I scratch them some more. This is going out to Buddy. Anyway, let's talk about air leaks. I had somebody talking to me earlier on my live show about they started their California Motors bike, and I was thinking that it's an air leak, because he's saying it ran and then all of a sudden stopped. So, yeah. And then I had this engine right here that had a bad air leak. So, I decked it. Let's get my bedtime story. This is my favorite bedtime story there is. It's called Motorcycle Tuning, 2 Strokes by John Robinson. He's my favorite author for 2-stroke engines. This is his 2nd edition. He's got other books, but this one he just does 2 strokes. So that's what I like. He has a lot more knowledge than just 2 strokes, but this is my favorite because it's just 2 strokes. My favorite bedtime story. I read it most every night. This is the chinadoll that had the air leak, so I decked it. This is a normal one. Hey, welcome to the show. If you have any questions, just hit me up. But this is a normal one. See the difference? Anyone? The difference is this one's decked and this one's not, meaning it still has the sleeve on it, and this one doesn't. So let's clean it up. I buy rags, and this is what I use to clean my stuff. Love my Eskimo Joe's. Only place in Oklahoma that I would want to ever be or go to. Eskimo Joe's. I don't think there's nothing else in Oklahoma I'd want to see besides Eskimo Joe's. I have relatives in Oklahoma. I like these shirts. I like Eskimo Joe shirts. The guy who owns Eskimo Joe's is like a really cool artist. Let's check the Squish and check for air leak repair. Let's pull the piston all the way down. 1, 2 there. Let's load the cylinder. Let's compress the rings. Just like that. And get you a better view of just what I'm doing here. Not any better, hopefully. Get my chair out of the way. I usually stand when I compress rings. Let's compress some rings though. I like to pinch it, and I always like to make sure this is in the correct position. This is the exhaust side, so this is the intake side. You want your pins or your in between the rings onto the pins. So push down there, push over here, push right there, pinch it right here on the transfer, both sides. It's always harder when you deck something to load the cylinder because most cylinders are round, or I mean are. Let's do it the easy way. Let's pull the circlip out. Try and compress it enough. I get so many tries with these kind. I'll use my grabby and just slip it underneath. Oh, ba-ting! Did anybody see where that went? I heard it land. That's about it. Oh, it's got me. Should clean that up, but just for let's see. I'll read what the hell. And sit there for a minute. Look at that. Amazing. Not really. Sit there. Everybody loves it when I use naphtha. Let's just get a squish check. So pull this off. And I'm going to do a squish check. And then I'm going to check for the air leak and make sure that I repaired it with decking the cylinder. I'm just curious as to what my squish will be though. So that's the only reason. Normally I would do rings and compress them and then bam, drop them in. Okay. Look how piss poor design the chinadoll is. Look how much needs to be removed from that. Luckily, it is a windowed piston. Oh, I know why. High and low. Got it. Got it. That's a low pin. These are high pins. And bam. Okay, I get it. That's where we're going to be at on a high pin piston on a deck cylinder. Grab a
You're going to have to clean the garage again, huh?
You bet, Grandma. I'll go grab a low pin piston, but I'm just checking the high pin first. It's supposed to have a low pin. It is a rod is a ZAF 60 hybrid. So it's a hybrid. What does a hybrid mean? I don't know. Means that it's not a long or a short. It's a hybrid. Good answer. Good answer. Not really. Oh, we got a question. Hey. Thanks. Thanks for joining us. How's it going, man? You got a question for me or anything? I'm just cram this thing in there and I'll hit up your question here. Just wanted to check the squish on a low pin or a high pin on a. This is a 60. No, this one. This one is for a that size exhaust port or this size intake, 32 millimeter. So, yeah. Checking the arrow is on a chinadoll. You have to check it, or you have to actually physically check the pins. Okay, let's check it all the way up. Squish! Check out that squish. Let's get a squish measurement on it. Okay, how do you tell the high-low cylinder? I like to physically stick it on there. How do I tell a high piston from a low piston? I put the two together. I put this one up next to the other one. Let's get some pistons out and look at them. What do you say? We'll do the squish check in just a minute. Stick it all in there. Try not to get it in the transfers. Here is a homemade thing. Barely made it both sides. Okay, but let's look at the pin, where it goes. Can you tell me which one's high, which one's low? Are they all the same? Or tell me which one's the lowest. Right. This one's the lowest. See? Okay. And so let's just stick with these two. These are the two different kinds of pistons that go in a chinadoll. And see the heights. Maybe it'd be better this way. Can you tell one's higher than the other one? You see that? What's up, boss? Is the squishy time? Oh yeah, it's squishy time. But do you see the difference between the high pin and low pin? Some people like to say long stroke. Some people like to say short stroke. Some people like to say skyhawk. Some people like to say zeta. Some people like to say PK80. Some people like to say hybrid. There you go. But there's your difference in the pistons. A high and a low. I'm going to try and do a squishy check on this with a shark head. And let's get one base or a head gasket in there. bar measurement. I could run copper, or I could run a regular one, or different thicknesses and all that to adjust the squishy, because that's what you do when you have a cylinder head. There's we go, and let's watch this go up to make sure we do not go backwards. I'm gonna drop everything in the all that, because I didn't. It was bugging me that this isn't sitting all the way down. I was like, push. So I actually physically have to screw it down to get a better reading. So I'll do two, if I can find two. There you go. Here's two. Sorry. Here's two. They're called coupler nuts. I like coupler nuts. I find that they don't really loosen up. You should always use them with a washer, though. But I'm not for a squishy check. I mean, all I'm doing is just checking how much room the thing is going to take. One on each side should be plenty. The diagonal, whatever you want to call it. The ratchet don't want to reverse. Okay. Okay. Now let's Squish. You want to make sure the piston goes up, not down. If you push it down, you will fill your transfers full of putty or clay. And you do not want to do that. See the clay come out of the top? Now let's check our Squish on a chinadoll with a decked cylinder. We'll just check our air leak loss now. Okay, right here, I need to, on the intake, right here, we got an air leak on the intake, but now we do not have an air leak in between these two anymore. That's gone. Now I found the air leak on the intake. I'll repair that. I'll blow again, and then I'll check the seals. There's a seal behind the magnet, and then there's a seal over here. I could just stick my pinky in there. This is my tool of choice for everything. And feel and see if air comes out of the gaskets. Hi, Will. What's up, Will? Yes, it's squishy time. You want to see? I just squished the hell out of it. I have a hybrid. Crank in here on a long stroke or a high pin piston. And if I do this, I'll have to skirt the shit out of the piston. What do you mean by skirting the piston, Dad? This. I got one here skirted somewhere. There you go. That's skirted. This is the top, and that's the intake until it comes out. These two sides are just to help give it a little more. It's not the best work for a skirt, but that's a skirt. check. That is our squish right there. And I'll push it up through this spark plug. That's our squish right there. Let's get a measurement. I just took him for a walk. Okay. And it looks like millimeters. It looks like it's a good. Oh, even with all that cut down, we are 1, 2, 3, 4 millimeter or 4 millimeters. Uh, 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 uh. See how big a Skish is on a China doll, especially a shark head. See that? That's how huge the Squish is on a China doll. This is why China dolls don't have no power. See how thick it is? 4 millimeters thick. How far would you go, Brad? To tell you the truth, I don't really like to mess with China dolls. I could probably make a China doll super fast, but I'm always pushing for chainsaw cylinders over China dolls. I think I could make a fast China doll, especially with a reed set up like this, with an Oz reed on the back, and do all the port work. But what I know about China dolls is it's a lot of work to make them faster than just installing a chainsaw cylinder like this right here. Like this, I take down that down to paper thin and throw it on there. I mean, all your port work's done. With a China doll, I would have to fix this right here, the intake. See how tiny that is? See the piss poor design of a circle square crap? And see how it's got no, hard to show you this, but on a China doll, it's just basically straight. And it's on the exhaust, that's straight. It has no angle. There's nothing that's forcing more out. And the person who designed the cylinder sucks. I mean, whoever designed the China doll cylinder, I doubt is an engineer. I seriously doubt he's an engineer for engines. I mean, in college, they have people that all they do is engineer engines. And it would be great to talk to one of them. I mean, I sometimes get to talk to an aerospace engineer. I mean, he's a huge Trump fan. And it's so funny that other gasbike guys argue with him. Because I'm thinking to myself, this guy's an aerospace engineer. He's a Trump fan and all that. And it's kind of tough to deal with all that about it. But he's an aerospace engineer, retired engineers, worked on spaceships. He's worked on rockets. He's worked on everything. And then people try and tell him about how he tells them this design, it needs a steel sleeve. Or this design to tell you that you need a better something. And people will argue with him. And it's like, dude, he's an engineer. I mean, thank you for that thumbs up. Is that you, Will? Thank you, man. Mostly on a China doll, you want to reduce most people miss out on a China doll. Most people miss out that what you should be concentrating on is getting that squish smaller. Whether you want to do it this way or whether you want to take this down. But if you take this down, you have to match the piston shape again. So either you want to work on the bottom of the cylinder or the top of the head, one or the other. And that's why they give you so much room on it. But I don't like to work on these types of head. Not my forte. I'd rather just take it off the bottom of the cylinder. I mean, everybody's going to be freaking saying, you got to have that lip. Well, you don't need it on a chainsaw. Take it off on chainsaws all the time. Can I port a chinadoll cylinder? Yes, I can. I've done many. I can. But I just wanted to show you guys how to check your squishy on your chinadoll. This would work on any method. Piece of clay, silly putty, whatever you got will tell you what your squish is. I think it should be 1 millimeter on a chinadoll. A lot of people will disagree, and they'll tell you that you're losing a ton of cc's by making it so small, and they'll tell you your piston's going to rock too much. They're going to tell you that it's going to hit and all that stuff, but I disagree. Well, the bottom of the cylinder sounds easy. Yes, it is, if you have some way to deck that off. If you have some way to deck it off, then yes, it's not hard at all. I mean, that's what you're starting with. This is what we're ending with. That's how much you're removing. You're removing about 3/8 of an inch off of the lip. What's going to happen when the piston down here? As long as the rings stay into the cylinder, I believe we'll be okay. But I wanted to, I was looking for a cutting board. I was going to install this on a PK80 or the hybrid, either a hybrid or anything that has the 32 millimeter thing, because that'll fit on it right there. And I can just make studs. I just have to find a breadboard or something like that. We got 20 millimeters across here. I mean, it's huge. All I have to do is tap the impulse line. The impulse line. It's your tiny little fuel line. This is your choke. Choke's like that. And then you give it gas. It releases the choke. There is no jets on this. It has a high and a low adjustment over here. And your idle. When you tighten this screw, it just moves this out further. It's a lot simpler carburetor, and it will work with a chinadoll. What it's going to do though is it's going to get the pulse from here, and the pulse vibrates diaphragm, and that's what feeds the fuel. Can I see a chinadoll engine for some mods? One time for a big fan. Sure, I'll mod it. And what mod do you want me to do? Do you want to see a windowed piston? Do you want to see a case reed? What do you want to see on a chinadoll? What people do on chinadolls is they tap here and put a reed in, or they do a windowed piston here, or they do supporting work where they clean this out and then hit the wave at the bottom. The wave at the bottom is horrible on a regular cast, and what you're looking for is a nice flow, a nice wave on your transfer right here. Some people cut these out. I don't like to cut the transfers out, especially without a bridge. But I think just decking it right there, and I'll even deck it further to get a smaller squish. I think if I deck that down to a 1 millimeter squish, the power on the chinadoll will increase drastically with a 1 to 2 millimeter squish. Yes, I'll deck this. It's too late to be decking tonight, but I'll deck this down to we were 4 millimeters there. Take our fancy ruler. Okay, the rest of that deck is 3 millimeters, but I don't want the rings to raise above that, and it's got a lip right there. So let's measure our thickness to our first ring, we've got a good 4 millimeters there on the ring. See that? Right there. 4 millimeters. So I believe we'll be safe taking at least 2.5 millimeters off of the deck with a big shark head. I think I can remove the. Thank you for the extra thumbs up. Anybody out there? I appreciate that, man. I don't get enough compliments in a day or thumbs up in a day, but thank you for that. Yes, I'll put this together tomorrow. I can do an Oz read, or I could do this read. This is an RSE read, and the thing about these is you have to widen the hole out. You got to widen it wide enough for the reed to fully open. So the parts you have to open up in here is the part that lets the reed open. And I'm not a big fan of these reeds at all. I think they suck balls. I don't like them. I like an Oz reed. I'm a big Oz reed fan. I mean, when I ran adults, I always ran an Oz. I think they look cool. I've always liked them. They're great. I was just using Play-Doh. I like Silly Putty, but I also play with Play-Doh too. But yeah, that's what I'm doing, guys. I think I'll call that a show. I had 30 minutes on it, and it was a show about air leaks. Does anybody have a question about air leaks at all? Anybody? Has anybody found an air leak on their bike since I was telling people how to find them? Has anybody used my method and found an air leak and was like, oh my God, Brad's right? Nobody? Okay. Yes, I'll put this chinadoll together for you, Will, and I'll even throw it on a bike if you want me to. I don't know what I'll do with it. Maybe donate it, or I had no clue. Right now, I've got engines coming out everywhere. I've got more parts coming in. Kind of, pretty crazy about the whole thing. But yeah, yeah. Oh, donated to you, Will. You need an engine, Will? Really? You need an engine. You don't seem like the needy type to me, Will. Really? It's you. I pictured you not needy. You're a needy man, huh? Okay. What kind of engine do you want, Will? Yeah, I'm just playing with my things I painted. When I get bored, I paint or I draw, or mostly I like to sculpt. I turn on my Dremel and I just carve on shit, or I'll turn on this right here if it's soft material. I'll just carve, kind of like a tattoo gun or something. But yeah, I hit the 33-minute mark, which is a long show for me. But I will build a chinadoll. Since you guys want to see me build a chinadoll, tomorrow on my show, I will put the TS400 together. I'll deck this down to paper thin right here on the adapter. There's the Squish cut. I'll put a TS400 together, and I will put this chinadoll back together right here. I was just doing a Squish check to see exactly how much I can deck it, and I can almost deck it all the way down to touching the cylinder or touching the first fins, which is crazy. I mean, some of these chinadolls, when I measure them, the squishy could be up to like 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters. It's like, holy cow, that's so huge. And then everybody's like, well, I got no power. And then they're like, making these holes bigger. You know, they're making their intake holes bigger. They're making their exhaust holes bigger. And then they're not touching the height of the cylinder at all. I mean, the first thing you want to do on an engine is find out what that squish measurement is. Second thing you want to do is drop it down to bottom dead center and find your air leaks, or make sure you don't have crosstalk. Raise the piston all the way up, and you want to check for air leaks on your case by blowing into it. Simple stuff. So it's not hard. It's easy. Hey, I hope it works for you, Eli, and please talk to me about it, and come back and see me again. I'll be here tomorrow, and thanks for joining my show. I appreciate you asking me questions. I really like that about my show, and that's why I'm here. It's what I like to do. I like to build, and I like to answer questions and help other builders. And thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you guys in a little while, and enjoy your night. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's finally cooling down in my garage. I said that. It's still in its 80s, but yeah. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'll see you guys on the next show tomorrow. I'll get you a good show going tomorrow. 400 and a chinadoll without any air leaks, with a tiny, tiny squish. Good night, guys.